boy Mark the Mentor. Are you ready to take your trucking business to the next level? With Trucks.pro, you get access to the best load board in the game, giving you the tools to find higher paying loads and streamline your operation. And right now, you can try the Pro plan free for 30 days, a $159 value. Click the link in the description to claim your free Pro plan and start making smarter moves for your trucking business today.
Warning: the following content contains strong language and may not be suitable for children. This content is primarily for adults, as this is a trucking channel and truckers have filthy mouths. Please don't tweak if I say viewer discretion is advised.
Sweet.
What's up? Come on in. Make sure you guys hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications. If I have to get up and blow my nose, it's allergy season. My allergies are killing me, man. The weather got to figure out what it want to do, so I might be sniffling. You dig what I'm saying? But come on in. Make sure you guys hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Let's get this roll call out the way. I know I haven't done one of these midday live stream lecture type of things in about maybe 2 months. I think maybe early mid-February was the last time I did one. I'll tell you a little bit why I stopped before we get into it, but let's do this roll call real quick. Shout out to Andrew Green coming in. Shout out to Ben Bauer. What's going on? Was Ben Bauer the guy I talked to yesterday in the Discord? I think that is him. Shout out to Andrew Green. Shout out to SD Walk. Shout out to all the MGM members. Shout out to Rich representing the crib. Shout out to Craig Freeman. What's going on? Shout out to Jake Stokes. Shout out to Don Solo. Don Solo, ain't seen you in a minute. Probably because that's how I haven't been streaming in a while. Shout out to Ro. Shout out representing VA. Shout out to Millennials Lead the Way representing North Carolina. Jay Stokes representing Detroit. Shout out to Pippi. Shout out to all the moderators. Shout out to Jinx. Jinx say he passing through the crib right now. It's currently 60 degrees here in Chicago, which I could take 60 degrees. If it was 60 degrees every single day, I'm cool with that. I was talking to Pippi, I think yesterday in the Discord. She said, oh my goodness. I think it was like 58 or something yesterday. She was like, oh my goodness, that's chilly. It's 90 degrees here in Texas. I said, oh man, that's hot. She said, what, you got a coat? I said, no, we wear a jacket or a little windbreaker. I'd rather take 60 degrees. Well, because 60 degrees to you, Pippi, is freezing. Negative 40 degrees to me is freezing. You see what I'm saying? Y'all don't get negative 30 and negative 40 wind chills. We do. We get below zero temp. So, 60 degrees to me is fair. Not too hot, not too cold. It's comfortable. It's comfortable. Shout out to Pippi. Shout out to all the moderators. Shout out to Brian Walton. Shout out to, I got Rich. Who else I got to get? Shout out to Michael representing New York. Shout out to SD. Shout out to Ricardo. What's going on? Shout out to Maximize Trucking. Shout out to Entrepreneurship representing Michigan. All right, boom. Let's get into it. All right, so boom. I stopped doing these midday cook-ups about 3 months ago. Yeah, I was doing them frequently, maybe about 3-4 times a week. Some days I might have did one every day. And my consensus that led to me to just pull back from them was I just didn't think it was so there's a reason why there's a 90-10 ratio of 90% of the people don't make it and 10% do. And I just think what I was talking, it was like, it did, like, the people who want it is a very minimal amount. So I'm not going to like waste my time preaching to people who just don't really want to receive the information. So if you're watching and that shit, even if you're watching, but that shit is going in one ear and out the other, to me, it's just like a waste of time for me. You know what I'm saying? So, I have a place where I can talk to people who are really serious, and it's on a smaller platform, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with talking to less people and give less more of my time. But the few people are the people that really want to kick it and really want to grow and really want to build, right? So it's cool to have a big platform and whatnot. But if a majority of people are just watching and not applying the information, or when you talk to them on a call-in show and it's always a but or a rebuttal, while you simultaneously telling me you don't understand what it costs you to run your business and stuff like that. It's not like you like we debating something that could lean one way or the other. When I got to debate with people about understanding what it costs you to run your business, to me, man, it's not. It's like, for what? So there's a saying that says you go where you're celebrated, not tolerated. And that's what you do. You go where you celebrate, not tolerated. When I say celebrate, not like people kissing your ass and no shit like that. It's just where, you know, your efforts are respected. That's it. So, not saying I'm not going to do them. I'll do them, when I feel like it. Like today, it's something I've been wanting to talk about, and I'll do it. But I'm not going to like make it an effort. You dig what I'm saying? To do it. You dig? So, uh, people know where to find me at, and that's just that. So let's talk about this race to the bottom, because I hear this phrase a lot. And when I hear people talk about it, they talk about it, but they really don't understand what that means. Similar to, like, man, they keep taking cheap freight. I hear people say that, but I don't think they really understand why things are the way they are. Because majority of people, when they tell me that, me, I got a rebuttal for them. All right, well, what's your operational cost? Let's figure this out. They don't know. So you can point the finger and just say something that you heard somebody else say, and then you got this whole community of just saying shit like there's a race to the bottom, or people are taking a cheap freight, but you don't even understand what it costs you to run your business. So you just doing in a bandwagon, just pointing the finger with a lack of understanding. All right, let's get to it today. So I got some bullet points, and also what I'm going to do, because I've been saying something since I've been on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? Well, not since I've been on YouTube. Shout out to whoever that's let that super chat. Give me a second. I'm gonna get to you. Once things started to change and the market started to correct itself, and once it did correct itself, I've been telling you that rates are durable. But people keep saying this shit, man. I can't wait for rates to go back, and I keep saying, well, rates are back. Where is this back that you're looking at? So we're gonna go back in time, and I'm gonna show you that rates are back and that everything is normal. And I'm going to tell you why. If you are a person who's suffering, I'm going to explain to you why you're suffering. All right, what's going on? Shout out to Sam B. Shout out to CTR. Shout out to Jink. Shout out to I see, is that Kurt? Shout out to Drew. Let me get this super chat before I start cooking up, because sometimes I'll forget.
Sweet.
Super chat says, it's your business acumen that has helped me launch a successful recruiting company. This channel was more in box trucking. Appreciate that, man. Appreciate that super chat. All right. Shout out to Kurt. What Kurt talking about? Kurt tried to start some trouble. Some of these guys. All right. I see Kurt got some beef. I'm gonna let y'all figure that out. I'm gonna cook up though. I'm gonna cook up, and then I might tune back into whatever it is that's about. He did what say. I gotta stay focused. All right. So hold on. Let me. Shout out to Dumb Beezy. In the building. All right, so boom, let's talk about this race to the bottom. I'm gonna keep my eye on the chat. Make sure y'all stay in line. Make sure y'all hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications. What's the race to the bottom? Race to the bottom is when businesses, we talking about trucking, continuously lower their prices to stay competitive. That's what a race to the bottom is. Now, whether a person is lowering their prices to stay competitive profitably or not profitably due to ignorance, that's a whole different discussion. All right, there's people that can afford to put pressure on ignorant carriers, and they can do it and afford to do it and can do it purposely. But then there's also people that do it unknowingly due to ignorance, because they don't know their operational costs and things of that nature. We see there's a lot of people like that. We do what's called a call-in show, and recently we had two scenarios. The last call-in show, it was a young guy, And then that episode, that live stream I did before that, that wasn't even a call-in show where the guy, actually I released that clip this morning where the guy was like, why do I need to know what it costs me to run my business? Like, who am I telling it? Why is that important? Why do I need to know my gross? So it's not like when I be saying this shit, I'm making up. You see this stuff from your peers that are in the space. This is your competition, and this is part of the reason why things are the way they are. It's not, you can't say people are taking cheap freight without pointing out the ignorance. The reason why people don't point out the ignorance 9 times out of 10 because they don't know what their operational cost is too. So they can't articulate to someone what they're doing wrong that adds to the problem. It's just what it is. All right, so let's talk about a few of my bullet points. One, desperation. Desperation to move the truck. A lot of people are running scared. A lot of people are running scared. Truck notice due, insurance is due. Instead of being strategic, you decide to be reactive. We see that all the time on the call-in show. And it may not be due to the truck note or the insurance or things that are directly associated with the business. It could be things that are at home. Rent is due, car note is due, BM bugging you about something, so you go just take something so that you can get that money in, so that you can Zenmo it, Zelle it, or Venmo it, or Cash App it, or however you send money to her. People they do things not strategic, they do things reactive. You see a $1.50 a mile for a load, and you say, well, they'll cover the cost of fuel. We see people come up here all the time. They only calculate fuel. Man, Mark, the guy the other day or 2 weeks ago, whenever the time I did that last call-in show, well, man, his formula was the price, and he calculated, he went on Gas Buddy or something like that, saw how much it was going to cost him on average to run that load, and then subtracted that, and then he said, well, this is what I made. The guy that was running with the dispatcher. And that's far from the truth. That's the type of individual who, whatever his little nest egg is, it's just going to slowly start to dwindle and dwindle and dwindle and dwindle away. And if you remember that young man, he was in a desperate situation. You saw the disparity. You saw it. He said it. He needed help. So when people need help and they don't know who to go to, or they don't have the capital to pay maybe a mentor or something like that, they just start doing whatever they think is best, and 9 times out of 10, that's wrong. So desperation, lack of cost awareness. Majority of these guys don't know what it costs them to run their business. I'm not just saying it, we prove it. I'm not just saying it, we prove it. We see the case studies. People get mad at me for highlighting it. I'm telling you I'm showing you what the problem is. The only person you should be mad at is yourself. If you are in the space, how can you get mad at me for highlighting the ignorance of your peers? These are your peers. I'm not competing against these guys any longer. You're competing against them. So it should be in your best interest to educate them. And when you see someone educating, how can you get mad at something that's adding to the problem? If you are a smart business owner, you should want to rid yourself of the problem. That's how I know most of the people that complain about that shit, you don't get it neither. I'm just the person that's bold enough to tell your ass. Me, if I'm a smart, shrewd business owner that's competing in that landscape on the spot market, I would want the ignorance to absolutely 100% fail. Less capacity. So how you going to get mad at someone that's highlighting it and jaying down on an individual that don't know no better? If you want to get mad, you should get mad at me for educating. You should want them to stay dumb. You should want them to stay dumb. So when people complain about shit like that, it's funny to me. Capacity is one of the problems. Demand is low. Too much capacity. Why are you mad at some? You should be mad at me for educating them. You should want them to fail. If you're a business owner, you want to make money. You don't want to continuously be suppressed. I don't understand it. Makes absolutely positively no sense. So if you don't know your true cost per mile, you don't know your operation cost, how can you effectively book profitable loads? You don't know what it costs you. So you're just running in the dark, you're running in the blind, you're just taking shit, really not knowing. You running loads at $1.60 thinking you profitable and your cost per mile is $2. You don't know your cost per mile is $2. You don't know how to account for your time. You don't know how to account for depreciation. You don't know how to account properly for fixed costs. The only thing you account for is fuel. When you don't know your numbers, how can you set a floor? If you don't know your numbers, how can you effectively know what to charge someone for your service? And this don't stop with trucking. This in any business you do. If you own a hotel, you need to know what it costs you to book a room. How much does it cost you an hour for the maid service? How much is it costing you to wash the linens after someone who patronizes your facility, leaves the room? The laundry service. The materials to wash, the washing powder, the soap powder. The electricity, the gas, and everything that accounts for, the hospitality industry if you own a hotel, so that you can effectively know what to charge a night for a room. If you own a restaurant, you need to know how much it costs to prepare a meal. All costs, from the bus boys to the cooks to the servers to the front end to the actual food that's being prepared. What does it cost you? Wholesale price. To the utility cost. Even on a small scale restaurant, a hot dog stand on a hamburger. How much does the dog cost per unit? How much does the bun cost per unit? How much ketchup should we squirt? How much mustard should we squirt? How many squirts can we get out of a bottle based on what the cost of the bottle of ketchup or mustard is? How many pickles should we give? How much relish should we put? How many hot peppers or sport peppers, depending on what part of the country and what you call them? What about the wrapping that you wrap the hot dog or the hamburger in? How much does, if you buy a case of wrapping craft paper to wrap the hot dog or the hamburger, if you get 1,000 sheets at X amount, how much is that per sheet? That unit cost should go into the cost of that hot dog or that hamburger so that you can know how much you can charge for the hot dog or the hamburger. You can't just set a price if you don't know what it costs you to produce the product. And then you wonder why you hemorrhaging money. And then you call me, and then I hold you accountable, but then people get mad. And then you ask me, well, why I need to know that for? See how ignorant that shit is? Omar, you're supposed to be teaching. I am teaching you. But some things you should know prior to starting a business. I understand certain strategies come with time, like when you want to scale and grow. But anybody that starts a business from day one, like, it should be innate that you should know what it costs you. That's not something that you come in not understanding. Like, it doesn't even make sense to me. It don't make sense to me. So I'm not going to sit here and coddle you when business is dog eat dog and your competition ain't going to coddle you. So why should I? For something that's very, 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 you should know this shit. That's not something that you should not know. Buy for $1, sell for $2. If you buy for $1 and you sell for 50 cents, you're doing something wrong. You should know that if you buy for $1 You should at least sell for $1.01. Who buy for $1 and sell for 50 cents? Who buy for $1 and sell for 75 cents? I tell you who, the person that don't know what it cost them. You come into business to make money. I mean, people tell me they came into business to help and do this. No, you did. You came into business to make money. Period. You don't know what it costs, you're gonna end up like the 90% at the bottom, zero. Facts. I ain't telling you nothing that a person who's transparent ain't gonna tell you. The person that don't tell you this, they ain't got your best interest. These are all the bullet points that help create this race to the bottom. We're gonna look at rates though. We're gonna get to it, and we're gonna put all this nonsense to bed once and for all. And then I ain't gonna talk about it no more. I'm gonna continue to let the people that say things like they keep taking cheap freight and all this other shit that ain't got nothing to do. Or, this one is really, man, I can't rate for rates to get back and things like that. And I'm like, well, what does back look like? Where is back? And then nobody can tell me. And or they tell me 2021. And if you say 2021, you a plumb fool. We never gonna see that again. You don't even know why rates, if you don't even know why rates were unusually high in 2021, business is probably not for you. I'm just gonna keep it a buck with you. Bullet point 3, content creators, influencers, false prophets, gurus, whatever you want to call them. I talked to a guy yesterday. He's actually in this, and I seen him in here in this chat now. He was in my Discord yesterday, and I talked. He was transparent. He's watched enough of my content that when he came into the Discord yesterday, and he called me, he said, look, I bought into the hype. I bought a $40,000 truck. I paid cash for it, and basically he said he don't know what the hell he's doing. So now the truck just been parked for a month. He admitted, I bought into it. Don't know what to do. Then I recently found your channel, and a lot of the questions that I had answers, I wish I would have found your channel first. Because now what I'm dealing with, you've been talking about. But this is not the content that I ran across that made me go out and spend my money. If you buy into something that someone says and you don't have enough understanding that you should go behind that person and do your own research, then a guy like me don't feel bad for you. And that's with anybody. The next person, me too. Don't listen to me. The only time when you should just take a person at face value is if you've been following a person enough to know that their information is solid, where you can kind of just buy into what they're saying. You've seen enough, you followed an individual enough to understand that they know what they're talking about. But off the rip, initially, when you find someone, you shouldn't just take what a person says at face value and they haven't proven themselves credible. Person has to prove themselves credible before you could just take what they're saying at face value and maybe not go behind them and do, your due diligence. And the guy I was talking to yesterday, I think he just admitted who he was. The number was so inflated that as he said it, his bullshit to something ratio, like he's not sold on the idea of living out of a box truck, but he was sold that he could make $30,000 a month. So for $30,000 a month, he was willing to live out of a box truck. But once he bought the truck and then really started to do the research and then realized that that was really not true, not saying it can't be done, but it's not common, then the interest went away. it's unfortunate that he didn't find, valuable information initially before he went out and made the investment. But we're here now. Right. Money to bullshit ratio is what he called it. Money to bullshit ratio. You can't buy into a fantasy. A lot of these guys, when I was having these $5,000 wars, earlier this year, late last year, earlier this year. In my lifetime, I can only think of one thing by chance that you can buy into something so low and get maximum gains, and that's like gambling. You could buy a dollar Mega Millions or a dollar Powerball. There's a one in something, 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 something million chance that you may hit all the numbers and win. If someone told me I could start a box truck business for less than $5,000 and I could become a multi-millionaire for something that was so minimal, the first thing that I would ask, well, if it was that simple, why isn't everybody doing it? Why is this the hidden gem that I've been looking for all my life, and how come ain't nobody else found it? How is something that costs so minimal to enter, the rewards are just so high? I would go and do my research. With the internet, back in the day, prior to, what we have now with the internet, it's like influence and shit like that. We had like what would you call Ponzi schemes and shit like that. Person to sell you I'm not saying that this is a Ponzi scheme, but the way they perpetuate it and market it, buy low, make a lot of money, come in low, make a lot of money, to me is kind of similar. I can't think of anything outside of like the lottery or something, or some type of form of gambling where I can take a chance on something with a little bit of money and make a huge amount of money, but that's by chance. So you come in the game undercapitalized, undereducated, you come in underbidding the people who ultimately built their business the right way. But you come in doing that stuff ignorantly. So another part of the reason, all right? Oversaturation, new entrants. Everybody got in during the pandemic. Easy credit, high freight demand. I call them TikTok tutorials, not TikTok tutorials. I call them TikTok tutorials. TikTok tutorials. Now, if you hear somebody else say that, you know where they got it from. People be taking my lingo and running off with it. It was the Wild Wild West. The pandemic was the Wild Wild West. I remember the Wild Wild West days of Final Mile. When most of the 3PLs were privately owned before the big, trucking companies started acquiring them. I remember when the XPO was going on a massive acquisition run in the early to mid 2010s. They were just buying up every 3PL because they saw the vision first. And then all the other major trucking companies started buying 3PLs. Trucking companies stayed away from 3PLs and Final Mile for years because it was too much liability. They didn't want to take on that liability and going into people's homes because the risk to reward ratio wasn't there yet because e-commerce wasn't where it is today. Once they saw the vision that XPO saw of e-commerce getting to where it is today, that's when they started acquiring all the 3PLs. But when I came in the early 2010s, it was primarily privatized. A lot of the companies that I did shit for early in those days don't even exist anymore because they were acquired. And those were the Wild Wild West days. A lot of the shit that goes on today in Final Mile didn't go on then. You didn't, if you dropped a route, you didn't get charged for it. You just didn't come or whatever. Like a lot of the shit and systems that are in play today weren't in play when the private companies owned them. Right? So you got oversaturation, you got new entrants. It was the Wild Wild West. But now the market is correcting. Capacity is high, still high. You got too much capacity, not enough freight. And the rookies, we see a lot of them, no disrespect, aren't helping the situation. They're making things worse. And you see those rookies when they call in on the call-in show. Any veteran that gets mad at me on how I coach or mentor these guys, you're crazy. You should absolutely I don't understand. You should want them to fail. If you want to make money, you should want the capacity to go down. That's why I be dropping a link, because I be itching to have a debate with someone. Because I ultimately want to make someone look crazy. Because I know what I'm talking about. So when I just don't understand, I don't get it. Shippers and brokers taking advantage, as they should. This is business. See, let's take our feelings and our emotions out the equation. You'll take advantage of somebody, your business, if you negotiate. Someone offers you a price and you negotiate it. When you negotiate with someone, you want to get paid more, which is ultimately going to decrease their profit margin. If they offer you something for $1 and you negotiate $1.50 and they okay, that's 50% less than what they were initially hoping to make. So why is it okay for you to do it and not somebody else? If you're able to manipulate the situations for you to get paid more, you're going to do it. So if someone does it to you because you're ignorant, that's your problem. That sounds personal. A person, a shipper or a broker can only take advantage of ignorance. If you got a price and you got a bottom line price and you a real shrewd business man and or woman, then you're going to stand on it by any means necessary. If you get taken advantage of, that sounds like a personal problem. I ain't never complained about what another man made. I ain't never counted another man's pockets. I don't care. I know what I need to cover my cost of business, cover my cost of living. So I know what I need to do. With the next person, that's just like me paying ComEd, but knowing ComEd making money off of everybody, but I'm complaining about it because based on what they charge me, I'm complaining about, well, y'all making billions and billions of dollars a month. Why y'all charging me $150 a month for electricity? This shit bogus as hell. I can't get mad at their business. Either I'm going to find another electricity company, which you can't do because it's regulated and that's the only company that provides electricity in my market, or I'm going to fucking be sitting around here in the dark. I can't get mad at a person or a company who started somewhere and then they built this business to what it is, and I'm dependent on that business regardless. I need electricity. Whatever they going to charge me is what I got to pay. I don't have a choice. But in this instance where you can negotiate, or you running the business where you got a cost in the bottom line and you get offered something or you're bidding on something and you got a floor, you can't get mad at a person because they took advantage of you. A good business person is going to prey on the weak. Why? You're going to make as much money as you can, because guess what? When the grass is green and it's sunny outside, it ain't going to be like that every day. If you want a person that was taking advantage of the good opportunities prior to 2020 for a short period of time, when there was a supply chain disruption and shit went down, now here are these cloudy days, and you can't weather the cloudy days because when the opportunity was there, you didn't take advantage of it. Key word, take advantage of it. It's business. It's not personal. If you allow someone to take advantage of you and your business, that's your problem. That's your fault. Because you don't either know what it costs you to run your business, or you don't have standards for your business. Learn how to say no. If you know what your cost is, what your bottom line cost is, say no. Go find what's profitable. It's just simple as that. What the shippers and the brokers do, you do it as well. You're looking to take advantage to make more money. Big carriers. Absolutely. Some of the biggest take advantage of us. They love taking advantage of independents. They love putting their foot on small guys' necks. They love it. Jordan 6, every independent every mega carrier got a pair of Jordan 6s on. If you don't know the Jordan 6, you know how I incorporate that, you new to the channel. Every mega carrier is putting a Jordan number 6 on an independent owner operator's neck. They can eat the losses. They can force you out. These are the people who are benefiting from this. So we got shippers, brokers, mega carriers. They all benefit from this race to the bottom, so you say. Who else benefits from the race to the bottom? Tech companies. The cheaper labor gets, the more margin they can make. To all my giggers. Long are the days when you were able to afford your cost of living as a gigger. Those days are over. If you thought that shit was going to last forever, you're crazy. Something that was built to supplement, it wasn't built for you to replace your career. If you quit your job, during the early ages of the gig economy, mid 2010s, going into the latter part of 2010s, these rates were just very, very high because you have a new startup business, right? They're putting a lot of marketing dollars into getting consumers to onboard and use the service, but they need service providers to provide the service. So if they have an influx or an infusion of consumers coming on, they have to have service providers on the platform to meet the demand. And what's the easiest and the best and the quickest way to get service providers on is to pay them handsomely. I say it all the time. But that doesn't mean that's going to stay like that forever. Where you got tricked and where you got fooled is during those early phases of that industry, the pandemic came and it kind of put it on steroids for a few years. That wasn't meant to happen. No one saw that coming. So now the rates went from high to even higher because of that increased demand, because everyone was home and people were ordering more food and groceries and things of that nature. And then once the money started to kick in, it just even went higher. And people were fooled. People who didn't know any better who were fooled. Ignorant people were fooled. So they did what wasn't in their best interest. They got into a euphoric phase of a bubble and they lost sight of reality. And they did things like quit their job and started bragging and all this shit. And now that industry has corrected itself, right? Because you got people accustomed to using the service. You have an infusion of consumers that use the service, right? Because they got them accustomed to using it. And you got these service providers that are on here that are pretty much stuck now. Why? Because they did things like go out and buy cargo vans or to run gig apps, or they quit their jobs, or they quit their jobs and bought cargo vans because they thought this was just the new wave. And then the market corrected itself, and then they blaming the gig app. The gig app's purpose is to make money. What you thought they was going to continue to want to take losses forever? What business is going to want to continue to take losses? The difference between you and them is they have VC money. They can operate at a loss for an X amount of years. You can't. They'll just do another round of funding, but eventually they're going to get to that sweet spot. You don't know business. Every business wants to profit. How can you get bad at a business because they want to be profitable? So the gig apps are 100% enjoying this. This is great. Because now you have to accept. I was looking at some of those rates that on Rodeo once $50 for Home Depot for huge loads, 48, 49, 34 now. People taking them. They ain't got no choice. They went out and bought a Mercedes mattress, or they went out and bought a Transit Connect, and they got that note. Not only do they got that note, they quit their job because they were in this euphoric mindset because they were making great money at that time, and what the rates were paying allowed them to afford to go out and, I guess, purchase these vehicles with the idea of this is their new career path, not understanding that industry, most of those companies are still startups, and they're operating at a loss. And not only that, the market, as far as the economy, is eventually going to correct itself. So the tech companies are 100% enjoying this as well. And let's keep it 100. The people who are making buku money in this industry, they're not in the truck. The people who make money ain't in the truck. I'm talking about buku money. I ain't talking about twos and fews. Yes, there's people that run profitably in their truck, but that could also be the person who has 5 trucks who's not in the truck. He's not in the truck. He's making money. Person who's really making money is not in the truck. I'm talking about real money. Don't get offensive. If you're making some money and you're driving the truck, that's what you're supposed to. That means you know how to run your business. But we talking about money. We talking about bigger margins. They're not in the truck. They're in the boardrooms. These are the people running the apps. These are the people that are making money off your hustle. We can even go down to a lower level. Brokers. A lot of brokers are working from the crib now due to the pandemic. Not every broker is going to C.H. Robinson or TQL. Man, a lot of them don't have to go into the office. You got some that's doing it from the crib. You got some good dispatchers out here that are connecting dots for you, that are making more than you if they got a nice clientele. Why? Because they don't have the costs that are associated that you have with running the actual vehicle. See, this is what you don't understand. What's keeping it going? You can say camaraderie, but I'm gonna be honest with you. In my 45 years, I don't see camaraderie being a thing any longer in the near future, if anything. I've seen just as a people be community based, do like this. The tougher living becomes, the higher the cost of living, the tougher things become, the less camaraderie. Y'all want to have a real conversation? Y'all want to still be in la la land? I'm gonna always have a real conversation and keep it a buck with you. The more things become tougher in life, the less camaraderie is gonna be. I've seen it outside. I just seen it in regular life. The harder things are, the more that drool gonna come out. The more the fangs gonna come out. The more people are gonna be less community based, community driven, and want to stick together. Moving as one is a thing of the past. You have to keep this in mind. So even when you say things like, "Oh man, they taking cheap freight, this, that, and the third," that's like a waste of energy and waste of breath. You got to do what's in the best interest of you, because those days are long behind you. Especially when you see people come up here that don't understand what it costs them to run a business, and they ask you, why do they need to know that? Like, that shit is so bad. You'll think like these are paid actors. These are real people that you see in their trucks and their vans. These ain't paid actors. These are real people. So when you see someone say, why do I need to know that? Because who am I telling? What I need to know what I'm making? What's the purpose of it? Instead of laughing, you should be frightened. You think that person is going to stand with you? No. You think that person going to kumbaya? All right, we going to hold the line. Fuck it. We going to strike. We ain't going to take nothing. Lord knows I need this money because, man, little man back at the crib, he needs some Similac, some shit like that, whatever. But, man, I got to be unified. Bro, ain't nobody trying to hear that. They already running at a loss anyway because they don't know what it costs them to run their business. They already running at a loss, not understanding. So what makes you think that a person running at a loss is going to, you see it. No foundation. That shit been gone too. I compare that to real life. We don't have no foundation. We ain't got no structure. Nowhere. In trucking, in business, the streets, no more structure, no more foundation. You run a trucking business. We see a lot of people run a trucking business like a side hustle. We are in the side hustle culture. Box trucking is treated like a side hustle. Look, like all your evidence of everything I'm saying is the participants you see that call up on the call-in show. It's ran like a side hustle. No SOPs, no planning, no reserve capital. Asking me, why I need working capital for it. To ask me why you need working capital and to ask me why you need to know what it costs you to run your business, that shit is crazy to me. No minimum rate thresholds, even for final mile. I talked to a guy the other day in my Discord. He's not making enough money. But you accept this stuff initially, and then when you get in the thick of things, you realize that you accepted something that wasn't really worth your while. Because you don't understand how to run your business. You run it like a hustle, and then you get hustled. You can't run a business like a hustle because it's not a hustle, it's a business. If you're running your business like a hustle, a person who understands business is going to hustle you. Because business ain't a hustle, it's business. And the person that you have to deal with that understands business, whether it be the broker, the shipper, the 3PL operations supervisor, the dispatcher we saw a guy come up here, getting hustled by the dispatcher. In relation, they gonna hustle you. They gonna take advantage of your ignorance. Rightfully so. It's your job to know what it costs you to run your business. If someone hustle you, then if you go, I always use you go on the strip in Vegas and they playing 3-card Molly, they only getting suckers. You a sucker. If you ever play 3-card Molly with some guy that's on the street and you walk up, you see the black guy and then you see the little black guy, then the white lady step up and she's winning and then she's winning and then they just giving her money and then you watching and then man, this shit look easy, man. They giving away money. Then you step up, he's smiling while he giving her the money and then you step, man, come on, want to play. Then you think it's sweet. First, you a middle American. You can't be from the crib. You did what I'm saying. And you give him your money, then his face turned from a smile to stone cold. And he let you win that first one. Tell you to go ahead and put the 100 up. We giving away money today. His face turned stone cold and then he take your shit. Now you trying to get your shit back. Ooh, his face serious too. That white lady that was winning, she done disappeared. She gone. You look around, where the little white lady go? It was all a setup. They hustled your goof eye. You was a sucker. You fell for it. You think somebody just randomly on the street, on this strip in Las Vegas, just giving money away. Greened in a month. And it's hustles everywhere. People gonna always prey on weak people in business, in regular life. You're gonna get hustled. Short-term thinking. We see this all the time. Thinking day to day. A business owner don't think day to day. They think long term. We see people that choose that quick cash flow or that quick liquidity and not profit. We see people that chase gross and not net. And because of that, you never build a successful business. You just constantly spinning your wheels. Day in and day out. Ego and pressure. Social media. You got to show it off, baby. You got to put hashtag boss shit or boss B or whatever these hashtags are. So you try to stay in as long as possible the whole time you bleeding out. So you want to flex. You underbid just to look like you still moving. But whole time you behind closed doors, you bleeding out. Now, let's look at these numbers. Let's do what nobody has done. So we can stop saying this back shit. All right? Come on in, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications. Do I want to, let me see, let's do it right here. Hopefully you can see this. It's the last 10 years. So when I say the rates are normal, they normal. So when you say, man, I'm just trying to survive until rates get back to normal, this looks normal to me. In 2015, the average rate was 175. 9 years ago, the average rate was 165. Right now, currently, the average rate is 164. Looks normal to me. Right here was the pandemic. Get these years out your mind. We know why rates went up here. Infusion of money into the economy, which increased volume. Volume exceeded capacity. Capacity came in because rates were so high. Capacity didn't come in just to help the economy out, get people toilet paper. No, people came into trucking because they had the money to come into trucking. They had the money to cash out. They had the money to buy equipment and make this money because it was promoted. Whoa, people are getting rich. People are making, high rates. So they came in. But guess what? It wasn't going to stay like that forever. So now the market is corrected. But guess what? A lot of this capacity that still came is here, but the demand is not where it was here. So now you got an overabundance of capacity and low demand, and even lower demand than probably what we would have had if this event never would have happened in the first place. So when people say, well, I'm waiting for rates to go back, they back. They're back to what the rates were prior to the pandemic. So this is back. I've been saying it. Yo, rates are normal. Rates are normal. Rates are normal. Man, can't wait for rates to get back. Back. What back are you talking about? Because if you waiting for the shit to go back here, man, you better hope they concocting some new type of shit to wipe you out. Some type of new COVID or something, so we can have another pandemic or something. Something gonna have to happen. In a normal economy, on a normal upswing, you're gonna look at something like this. This is on a normal, when the economy was growing. If you're old enough to remember, you were paying bills or you were living on your own during this time, this was gradual economy growing and thriving. People were spending money, people were buying homes. And this is because this was gradual growth from the '08 housing market correction. If you're old enough to remember how things were for those years after '08, this was gradual. After an event kind of similar to this. So this is normal. I took it a step further. $2015 average rate $1.75. Stable rates, modest growth. Know why we were growing. We had years of pressure, suppression due to what happened in '08. 2016, rates dipped in early 2016, recovered by the end of the year. 2017, gradual increase due to economic growth. 2018, rates peaked due to high demand and tight capacity. There was a lot of demand. People had money in 2018. People were spending. But that popularity that caused people to come into trucking, it's still driving people into trucking. Popularity due to just a different mindset shift. People not wanting to work traditional jobs, not wanting to work for people. So today, people are looking for things where they can do on their own. Trucking just happens to be one of those things where you can be out on your own and be a business owner at the same time. We weren't there. Our mind frame wasn't that then as it is now. So there wasn't people rushing into trucking. People were still going out looking for traditional jobs. A trucker was looked at like what a trucker used to be looked at, a trucker. Now it's kind of celebrated in social media as a great way to make money and be your own boss, right? So there was a high demand due to economy rebounding and recovering, but it exceeded the capacity. That's why the capacity was tight. 2019, the market softened for those that were in trucking, like me in 2019. There was a slight little freight recession. We saw a bunch of trucking companies go out of business. A lot of the companies that used to deliver to me, like New England Motor Freight, went out of business in 2019. There's quite a few companies that bit the bullet in 2019. 2020 came in, really volatile. Why? Because when the pandemic first hit, the supply chain was disrupted. Everything stopped. Everything halted. Nothing moved. supply chain started to pick up, money started to come in. You had 2021, you had the COVID, which the high post COVID demand, which pushed historic rates. Now you got rates elevating due to the demand, right? Because of the infusion of capital that came into the economy from things like PPP, idle, child care, unemployment, federal unemployment, state unemployment, scams, so on and so forth. People had money, so they were spending it and increased the demand. Capacity came in to meet that demand. 2022, we're peaking out now. Supply chain issues and inflation kept rates elevated. 2023, we start to see the decline. Demand softened. Money was running dry. People was running out of that free money. A lot of people that got the free money had bought everything that their hearts ever desired. Anything they ever wanted, when they got that free money, they had bought it already. You had big box retailers that had quadruple and triple their orders in fear of another supply chain disruption. Just in case things got shut down again, they just purchased more. So they had a lot of things in storage. So demand, it softened. And rates started to correct themselves. 2024, the market correction continued. It wasn't going to stay like this forever. Only a fool would think that. The markets continue to correct. And then here we are today. Rates fell to near pre-pandemic levels. Back to normal. Back to normal. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notification. We're back to normal. So, Mark, if we're back to normal, okay, we see the chart now, Mark. You've been telling us this. If we back to normal, why it don't feel normal? Why are we struggling? I'm gonna tell you why. Your cost of operation. 165 in 2016 ain't the same as this 165 today. What you mean? 165 is 165. No, it's not. 165 in 2016 took you a lot further than it does today. This owner operator who was running at 165 in 2016, their insurance was cheaper, their maintenance was cheaper. When they put their truck in the shop, the labor was cheaper, the insurance was cheaper, labor was cheaper, they had a driver. The cost to operate was significantly cheaper than it is today. So this 165 would take a person operating in 2016 a lot further than it does today due to inflation. So rates are normal. Rates aren't the issue. Inflation is the issue. Trucking is a market. It doesn't scale with the rate of inflation. Why? You got a fragmented market. You got desperation. If you're a single owner operator, you're a small fleet owner, you're competing in a more fragmented market. When capacity exceeds demand, you're going to have people underbidding because they're desperate, which is what's going to continue to suppress things. The harder it gets, the tougher it gets. The powers that be notice, so they prey on it and they take advantage of it. Why set higher prices when we know people going to beat each other up to just get the work, which is going to lower prices in the first place. The whole point of deregulation. As a shipper, if I'm selling a product and I'm wholesaling, the way I make money as a wholesaler, a manufacturer, is units. I'm not doing twos and fews. I'm trying to move units, right? I want a person to order more units from me. The more units they order, the cheaper unit cost I can give them. At the end of the day, I know that retailer is dependent on a consumer. I need consumers to continue to buy the product so that the retailer can continue to buy from me. This is business. We need to think like business. Well, I think I'm a business person. I think like a business person. So I understand shit. So when I come into shit, I understand what I'm coming into. I know how the landscape is played, so I know how to play the game. Why would a wholesaler want to pay you more so that a retailer has to go up on their price to the consumer, which causes what we have today with inflation, and people stop buying shit? Then that affects them. So we got to cut where we can cut. Where we going to cut at? We already dealing with inflation. We can't really deal with that. So we have to find ways to keep our costs as low as possible because we still got to compete against our competitors. Where can we start shaving? Why would we give you more money because of inflation? If you going to take it, well, screw it. Let y'all fight it out. Ultimately, we still want people to buy. We still need consumers to buy so that the retailers can buy from us. If the shit is sitting on a retailer's shelf and not moving, then the retailer ain't going to order. So if I can cut and prey on ignorance, so be it. It's business. It's not personal. Why would they increase the rates when they know somebody going to take it? The shippers hold the power. Because they're price sensitive and they control the volume. Like, ain't nobody going to voluntarily pay you more because of inflation. If I know I can get the same out of you, regardless of the economy, and I can keep my prices low because I know if I go up, if it costs me more to ship to my customer, they're going to have to raise their prices on the consumer, but then that could affect my business. Why would I do it if you're going to take it for the lower price anyway? I'm in the unit moving business. I'm in the volume business. What are we talking about? The spot market is like the stock market. I say this all the time. It's going to react to supply and demand swings. And I know some people don't, but those people won't debate me because they're going to look crazy. If a person not buying, if a large amount of people stop buying, and there's no demand. If you don't have nothing to move, what are you going to move? Air? Nobody's going to pay you to come move air. If you got this many people that are looking for loads, but the loads have significantly decreased, you got more people looking for less. Competition is going to drive down rates. Shippers know it. Brokers know it. You got people that got truck notes. You got people that got families. They're desperate. Ain't nobody going to help you out. It's business. It's not personal. It's just like the stock market. There's plenty of capacity right now. Demand is not booming. If a bunch of people are buying an asset, a paper asset, If a bunch of people sell, price goes down. Supply and demand. Less demand, the lower the prices in the stock market. Supply and demand. So you got spot market rates that are similar pre-pandemic, but your cost of operation has skyrocketed due to inflation. So that's why you're struggling. That's what the suppression is for. Rates are normal. And you know, with inflation, it hits the trucker first. It doesn't hit the shipper. It doesn't hit the broker first. It hits the trucker, the carrier first. Why? Fuel, parts and labor, equipment, insurance, all the costs that they don't have to bear. A shipper's rate sheet doesn't automatically adjust with the cost of inflation. It doesn't. If you don't negotiate, then you get what you negotiate. If you can't negotiate something that is in your best interest, you walk away. There's no floor. This is not unionized. It's not regulated. There's no regulated pricing models. It's eat what you kill. And some people ain't eating because they operating at a loss. Can rates scale with the cost of inflation? Of course, but will they? Probably not. How can they? One, a severe cut in capacity, a severe capacity crunch. Is that likely to happen? Probably not, because there's a lot of people still coming into trucking. It's popularized now. It's not like 2018 when capacity was tight. It wasn't heavily promoted. We hadn't had the pandemic yet. We didn't have influencers. I think some of the first trucking influencers, from my understanding, at least from Box Truck, it's credited to a guy named Demetrius B. And I think, from what I understand, he started creating content in 2020. Right? So now that you have influence and you have a mindset of people that want to be business owners, trucking is one of those things that people come into. So I don't see that type of severe capacity crunch probably ever again. Regulation won't ever happen. You know, truckers prior to 1980 lobbied for deregulation. They got it ignorantly, and this is what you have today. It was only going to, competition is only going to get worse. The higher the cost of living, inflation, things of that nature in a competitive market is only going to be detrimental to the carrier. So I don't think those guys that were lobbying for deregulation prior to 1980 really knew what they were in for, or knew what they were doing and how it was going to affect the generations that came into this industry decades later. They immediately started to feel it. I did a little mini documentary on it about a month and a half, 2 months ago. It didn't take long after deregulation for them to start immediately feeling that crunch. Sometimes, grass isn't always greener on the other side. Consolidation. That's where weak carriers fold and only strong ones remain. And that's something that I don't think people understand. Like, I see people, they get mad at me for holding people accountable that don't know their cost per mile, when you should be mad at me for teaching them the shit. You should want them to fail. You should want less people in. The less people, the better. If you are smart and you're doing what's in your best interest right now, understanding you have a high rate of capacity, you should want people to exit. So why get mad at me for doing aggressive accountability? If you're gonna be mad at me for anything, you should be mad at me for educating them. You should want them to fail. You should want them to remain ignorant. The less people, the better it is for you. Inflation is just, and especially if you over 30, you should know inflation ain't never going nowhere. Pandemic or not, things are going to continuously go up because that's just what it is. Gas ain't 69 cents a gallon no more. Milk ain't less than $1. Eggs ain't less than $1 no more. Bread ain't less than $1 for a loaf of bread. I remember you could get 2 loaves of bread for $1. We ain't gonna never see that shit no more. You can go to McDonald's and get a number one for, what was it, $4? I remember when a hamburger was 59 cents at McDonald's. I remember when a White Castle burger was 19 cents. We ain't gonna never see that shit no more. Inflation ain't never going nowhere. It's only going to continue to go up. And if we have unforeseen economic events like a pandemic, it's just going to accelerate inflation, but it's never going to settle back to what it was prior to that economical tragedy. Facts. So when people say ignorant things to me, it's funny to me. You can say what you want, but that just lets me know where you're at mentally in business. And it just lets me know the type of longevity you may or you may not have. Because you're going to be competing with guys just as knowledgeable as me that are going to absolutely 100% take advantage of you because it's in our best interest. It's not because we don't like you. It's because it's business. It's kill or be killed. It's dog eat dog. The more people, the worse it is. So why get mad for me holding somebody accountable and you don't like my tone? You should be mad at me for even giving them the information in the first place. Shippers just want to give you more money, which will never happen. So that will never happen. Ain't nobody going to voluntarily just pay you more because they feel bad for you. But, in general, inflation hits the trucker the hardest and it hits them first. And the market rarely adjusts. So what am I saying? Bottom line. Rates don't rise with inflation. They rise with pain. Same thing with the economy. What did I say? I told a guy when one of them live streams, I think me and Kurt was on the Wise Man, a guy was mad, called me a Debbie Downer because I said I hope things get worse. That's how things are only going to get better. Things don't get better. They just don't rebound. You want rates to get better? Okay, you're going to have to see some pain. Rates don't rise with inflation. Rates rise with pain. The economy just doesn't do a turn just because. The economy is going to do a turnaround with pain. Why? Because we need to see the bottom. People don't got money to spend, and the people that got money to spend, they're not spending it because they waiting for shit to go down. They want people to continue to fail, lose until the bottom falls out, the market goes down, and then smart money starts to buy because smart money don't buy when things are expensive. They buy when things go down. And then on the rise, because once we hit the bottom, there's only one way to go, up. And then once they, make their profits wherever they decide to take their profits at, whether if it's in real estate, whether if it's in paper assets, or whatever it is, they start to divest. We hit a peak. Some type of event happens, because it always does. We can go back the last 20, 30 years. There's always going to be something that drives the economy down, some type of economical event that puts fear into people. And then this is where smart money comes and buys, and then they dumps near the top on dumb money. Things don't get better. You need pain. Rates don't rise with inflation, they rise with pain. You want the economy to get better? We need to see some pain. The reason why things feel the way they feel now is because people are being suppressed. I say, let's just snatch the bottom out this thing and get it out the way. But they want to continue to suppress people. All right, they've been doing it for the past couple of years, so keep doing it. The economy needs an infusion of money to come into it so things can start moving again. If people that have money are holding on to it, hoping for the bottom to come out, and then the other people that don't have money don't have it in the first place to spend, suppression continues. Pandemic announced, things shut down March 13th to 16th of 2020. Every market tanked. The day that happened, Bitcoin tanked to $3,000. Everything tanked. And guess what? The next day, smart money started buying. In 30 days, that market recovered. Then you had an infusion of money coming to the market. And everything was great. But that doesn't last forever. And if you believe good days last forever, then you're going to be the one that gets caught left holding the bag. Cool. I'm okay with it. You know why? Because I know how to make money. There has to be ignorance. Because in order to sell, there has to be a buyer. And normally that buyer who's buying ignorantly is buying somewhere at the top, not knowing that the market is about to come crumbling down. And I'm just talking market in general. I'm not talking about like stock market. I'm just speaking in general, economics. So what is going to cause me, honestly, thinking for things to happen, for things to get better? More pain, more excruciating pain is not the fact that I'm hopeful for bad times. I just understand that in order for things to get better, we got to see the bottom. We have to put people that have cash on hand to spend it in a position where they want to spend it. Smart money is not going to buy at high prices, because how would they make money? Like, you can think whatever you want to think and continue to be ignorant, or you can transition your mind frame from ignorance to a smart business person. A smart business person never complains about shit. When things are good, things are good. When things are bad, they don't look at things as being bad. They look at it as an opportunity. When shit is bad, to me, that's not bad. That's opportunity. I understand. I'm old enough to understand. I've seen cycles, economic cycles, long enough, for 45 years to know that when things are great, it ain't going to be like that forever. Put some money to a side, because eventually things are going to come crashing down all the way to the bottom, and then that presents a great opportunity to buy. So once we hit that bottom, I buy low, and then when things go up, I sell to the person who's ignorant. That's how you make money. So when things crash, I'm not going to be running around here saying, oh, Scott. No, I'm going to be saying yes, because mentally I'm prepared for it, because I understand that's an opportunity. It's not bad. It's an opportunity. Or you can continue to be suppressed. So with knowing that, you can continue to deal with what's going on right now, or start transitioning your mind frame for what will come. So that way you'll be in position to be the person that takes advantage, instead of being the person that's taken advantage of. And then that's it. That's it. That's the shit explained. It's up to you to transition your mind to win. There's no such thing as bad. It's either good or it's an opportunity. If it's bad, it means it's bad for the people who are ignorant. For the people who are smart, that's a great opportunity. And that's it. I'm out. Peace.